All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to explore a really old, really important story from the Torah. It's called Lech Lecha. It's all about a journey that totally changed the world, a promise that seemed completely impossible, and what it really means to trust someone, especially when you have no idea where you're going.
Okay, before we get into the story, I want you to think for a second. What's the biggest, maybe even scariest thing a grown-up has ever asked you to do? Maybe it was moving to a new school or trying something new you were really nervous about. You had to trust them a lot, right? Well, hold on to that feeling, because the story we're about to get into starts with a request that is way bigger than that.
So, the name of the story, Lech Lecha, kind of gives you a big clue about what's going to happen. In the original language, Hebrew, it's this really strong command. It means something like, go, get yourself out of here. It's like a super urgent call to just drop everything and start a new adventure. And that is exactly what's about to happen to our main character.
Okay, part one, a very big ask. This is all about God's challenge to Abram. So our story kicks off with a guy named Abram, and he's about to get a message that will change not just his life, but pretty much all of history. No pressure, right?
Okay, so try to imagine this. Abram is just living his life, and then God speaks to him and says, I need you to pack up and leave. And we're not talking about a week-long vacation here. God tells him to leave literally everything he's ever known, his house, his friends, even his family. And the craziest part? God doesn't even tell him where he's going. He just says, go. Whoa, talk about a major test of trust.
Now, even though what God asked was huge, the promise he made was even bigger. God basically told Abram, look, if you trust me and go on this journey, I will make you the father of a huge nation. Your family will be enormous, and through you, the entire world is going to be blessed. So it wasn't just a command, it was this incredible invitation with an amazing reward at the end.
And get this, Abram wasn't a young guy ready for an adventure. He was 75 years old when God asked him to do this. 75! But you know what? He didn't make any excuses. He just packed up his stuff, his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and he went. He obeyed right away, which just goes to show you it's never too late to do something amazing.
All right, next up, the first big test. So, Abram obeyed. You'd think that means everything would be perfect from now on, right? Easy peasy. Well, not exactly. You see, doing the right thing doesn't mean you won't have any problems, and Abram and his family were about to hit their first big bump in the road.
So here's what went down. God had blessed both Abram and his nephew Lot so much that they had tons and tons of animals, like sheep, goats, you name it. They had so many that they actually started running out of room for them all. There wasn't enough grass or water to go around, and soon their workers started fighting over everything. It was a real problem.
Now, Abram was the leader. He totally could have said, hey, I'm the boss, I get the best land. But he didn't. He decided peace was more important than being right. So he told Lot, hey, you choose first. Whatever you want, you take it, and I'll take what's left. So Lot looks around, and he picks what looks like the absolute best land, these beautiful green fields near a city called Sodom. Abram, though, he just trusted that God would take care of him no matter which piece of land he got.
Abram totally passed that first test. He showed he was generous and full of trust. But the next test? Oh, this one was way harder, because it wasn't about one quick choice. It was about waiting and waiting. This was a 10-year test of patience.
So, remember that promise God made to Abram about making him a great nation? Well, to help him really get it, God took him outside one night and said, look up at the sky. Try to count all the stars. Your family is going to be that big. Can you even imagine that? What an awesome, mind-blowing promise. But there was just one little problem.
And here's the problem. A whole decade went by. 10 years after God made that incredible promise, Abram and his wife Sarai still didn't have any kids, not even one. Imagine being promised something amazing, and then waiting 10 years for it. For a kid, that's like your whole life. That is a long, long time to keep on believing.
And yeah, this is where they kind of lost their patience. They started thinking, maybe God needs a little help from us to get this promise going. So Sarai came up with a plan for Abram to have a child with their servant, Hagar. But this was them trying to do things their own way, and it wasn't part of God's plan. It actually ended up causing a lot of hurt feelings and family drama. It's a pretty good reminder that sometimes the hardest part of trusting is just being patient.
But here's the best part of the whole story. Even after they made that mistake, God didn't give up on them. He didn't take back his promise. Nope, he showed up again, ready to prove that he always keeps his word.
To show he was serious, God did something really cool. He gave them new names.
Abram's name was changed to Abraham, which means father of many nations, and Sarai's name became Sarah, which means princess. Think about it. Their new names were a constant reminder of the incredible future God had planned for them.
And then, after all those years of waiting, the big moment finally came. When Abraham was 99 years old and Sarah was 90, God told them this time next year, Sarah is going to have a son. I mean, come on. They were way too old to have kids. It was basically impossible, but that was the whole point. God was showing them that with him, nothing is impossible. And guess what? A year later, their son Isaac was born.
Now, this kind of super serious, unbreakable promise between God and people has a special name. It's called a covenant. It's like a sacred contract that can never be broken. And to make sure Abraham's family would never, ever forget this covenant, God gave them a physical sign called circumcision. It was a permanent reminder that they belong to God and that He is a promise keeper. So, that's this amazing, epic story from thousands of years ago. But you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but what does that have to do with me? Well, let's talk about it. Let's see what Abraham's journey can teach us about our own lives right here and right now. The big theme here is obedience. Abraham obeyed God when he left his home. Even Hagar obeyed the angel when she was told to go back. And this connects right to something super important for us, the fifth commandment, which tells us to honor our parents. The thing is, every single day, just like them, we get to make choices about whether we're going to be obedient or not.
And let's be real, sometimes obeying is really hard. Your parents ask you to clean your room when you'd much rather be playing a game, right? Or your teacher says it's time for homework when you want to go outside. The awesome news is you don't have to do it all by yourself. The Bible tells us that we have a helper, the Holy Spirit, who can give us the strength to make the right choice, even when we don't feel like it.
So how do we actually get better at this stuff? Well, here are 3 simple steps. 1, just ask for help. When you feel that struggle, you can just quietly ask God to help you do the right thing. It's okay to say it's hard. 2, find a buddy. It is always easier to make good choices when you have a friend who's trying to do the same thing. You can cheer each other on. And 3, remember God is with you, always. Just like he was with Abraham on that crazy long journey, he's right there with you every single day.
So, as we finish up, let's think back to the beginning. Abraham's amazing story, a story that literally shaped our world, all started with one choice to trust and obey. It doesn't have to be some giant, scary thing. So here's my question for you. What's one small way you can practice trust and obedience this week? Thanks for hanging out and exploring this awesome story with me.